In a silent apartment, a woman lived a life no one could hear until the past came back to break the silence. My name is Josephine. I am 32 years old. And this is the story of how I survived a beautiful home that felt like a cage, and how one unexpected moment brought my first love back into my life. The apartment was beautiful, too beautiful for a place that felt so silent and so cold. Josephine stood near the tall window, her fingers lightly touching the glass, leaving a foggy imprint from her breath. Outside, the city glittered with thousands of tiny lights. Life was everywhere, people laughing, cars moving, lovers walking hand in hand. Yet inside her home, everything was still. Too still. Her husband, Richard, liked silence. He said it helped him think. But Josephine knew the truth. Silence was control. Silence was fear. Silence was the sound of her life slipping away inch by inch. Their apartment had 10 rooms. 10 perfectly arranged, spotless spaces. She cleaned every day because she had to. If anything was out of place, Richard would notice, and noticing meant questions. Questions meant anger. His voice didn't have to be loud to scare her. It carried the kind of coldness that froze her from the inside. She wrapped her shawl tighter around her shoulders. The heater worked perfectly, yet she always felt cold, the kind of cold that came from loneliness, not temperature. She wasn't always like this. Once she had been full of life dreams, laughter, warmth. But that was years ago. Long before her marriage, long before she had said yes to a man who promised stability but delivered chains. She looked around her silent apartment, marbled floors, dim golden lamps, fragrance of lavender. Everything was beautiful. Everything was lifeless. Her thoughts wandered to the past, the place she feared and loved at the same time. A name rose in her mind like a whisper. Ethan. Her first love. Her only love. She hadn't seen him in 12 years, but memories had a cruel way of resurfacing when life became unbearable. Ethan had been warmth, smiles, music, everything Richard was not. She closed her eyes. She saw Ethan's soft grin. She heard his voice calling her name. She felt the safety she once had. A sudden knock snapped her back. Her breath trembled. Richard's knocks were different, sharp, impatient. This one was cautious. She walked toward the door, heart thumping. When she opened it, her world tilted. A man stood there, slightly older, a little tired, but with the same eyes she once loved more than her own heartbeat. Ethan. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. His eyes softened with shock and summoned deeper pain, longing, disbelief. Josephine, he whispered. tears she didn't even feel her slip down her cheeks. He took a step forward, but stopped. Is it really you? This moment, this impossible moment, felt like the world had paused. The silent apartment had never been this loud, not with noise, but with emotions she buried long ago. She nodded slowly. He let out a shaky breath. I thought I lost you forever. Her throat tightened. Ethan, what are you doing here? I moved into the building last week, he said. I never imagined, never even dreamed that you would be behind this door. She didn't know whether to smile or cry, maybe both. Suddenly, she remembered Richard. The fear returned like a punch to the chest. She looked over her shoulder instinctively. Ethan noticed. His voice dropped. Are you all right? She swallowed hard. Her voice was barely a whisper. No. He froze. His eyes darkened with worry. Josephine, what's happening? Who are you afraid of? She stepped outside the apartment just a little, closing the door behind her. Ethan, she said softly, my life's not what it looks like. I'm not who I used to be. He looked at her as if he could see the broken pieces she tried to hide. His hands didn't touch her, but the warmth in his gaze felt like a healing embrace. I won't push you, he said, but if you need help, if you need anything, I'm here. For a moment, time blurred. Her chest ached with emotions she had suppressed for years. Hope, fear, love, longing, and something dangerous, something waking up inside her heart. Before she could respond, footsteps echoed from the hallway. Richard! Josephine panicked. Her legs felt weak. Ethan leaned closer and whispered, Do you want me to leave? She shook her head. Just don't say anything. Richard turned the corner, his eyes narrowing slightly at the sight of them. His voice was calm, too calm. Josephine, who is this? Her heart raced painfully. This is, she began. Ethan stepped in smoothly, smiling politely. Your new neighbor. I'm Ethan Walker, just moved in. Richard studied him with the cold, calculating stare Josephine knew too well. Welcome, Richard said stiffly. We prefer privacy around here. Ethan nodded. Of course. Richard's hand wrapped around Josephine's wrist, a firm, silent warning. We have plans, he said. Good night. As Richard guided her inside, Josephine dared to look back. Ethan's eyes followed her, filled with worry. And something else. Recognition, understanding, a silent promise. The apartment door shut. The silence returned. But something had changed. The silent apartment wasn't empty anymore. A spark had entered. A spark she thought had died. a spark named Ethan. And sparks, even the smallest ones, have the power to burn down entire worlds. Josephine woke at 6. Her eyes burned from lack of sleep. Her heart burned from something else entirely, something she hadn't felt in years. Hope, dangerous, fragile hope. She moved quietly through the apartment, preparing Richard's breakfast just the way he liked. Everything had to be perfect. The toast had to be golden, not brown. The eggs soft, not runny. The tea warm, not hot. Any mistake meant questions, and questions meant anger. But today her hands trembled, not with fear, but with memory. Ethan, standing at her door, looking at her like she mattered, looking at her like she wasn't lost. Richard entered the kitchen. "You're distracted." The words sliced through the air. She stiffened. "No," she lied softly. "Just tired." His eyes scanned her face. He always looked for something wrong, something to point out, something to control. "You should sleep earlier," he said, sitting down. "A tired mind makes mistakes." She nodded. Silence settled between them like thick fog. As she served his breakfast, her mind drifted again. 12 years ago, Ethan held her hand like she was a dream he never wanted to wake from. 12 years ago, she had believed love could solve everything. But life taught her a different lesson. Love didn't disappear. It just hid inside the scars. Richard finished his meal and left for work. The door clicked shut. The apartment sighed in relief. Josephine stood still, breathing in the sudden freedom, a small, fragile slice of peace. And then her heart whispered the one name she shouldn't even think of. Ethan. She changed quickly, wearing a simple sweater and jeans, something comfortable, something that reminded her of the girl she once was. She stepped into the hallway with cautious steps. Her heart raced. Not from fear this time, something sweeter. She reached the elevator, then froze. Ethan was already inside. His hand stopped the doors from closing when he saw her. Their eyes met. Everything inside her softened. He smiled gently. "Good morning." She didn't trust her voice. She stepped in quietly. The elevator doors shut, enclosing them in a small world where time felt different. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. Her answer came out shaky. "I don't know." Ethan looked at her with a seriousness she remembered too well. "Josephine, does he hurt you?" Her breath caught. No one had asked her that in years. No one had cared. "He doesn't hit me," she whispered. "But," Ethan pressed gently, "but he freezes me, controls everything, every word, every breath." Pain flickered across Ethan's face. He clenched his jaw. "You deserve better. You always did." She looked away. Life doesn't give you everything you deserve. Maybe not, he said, but life gives you choices. She shook her head. Not all choices are safe. The elevator opened. Ethan didn't touch her, but his presence stayed close. They walked out into the lobby. The morning sun filtered through the tall glass windows, casting a soft glow around them. Ethan handed her a small folded paper. Her heart jumped. What is this? My number, he said quietly, in case you need anything, or in case you just want someone to talk to. Josephine held the paper like it was something sacred. I don't want to cause problems, she whispered. You're not causing anything, he said. I'm here because I want to be, because I still... He stopped. Her breath hitched. Still what? He hesitated, eyes full of unspoken truth. Still care. Her chest tightened painfully. Before she could respond, someone called Ethan from the far end of the lobby, a maintenance worker holding paperwork. Mr. Walker. Ethan stepped back. Take care, Josephine. Please. She nodded faintly. He walked away. She watched him go, unable to move. For the first time in many years, she felt her heart beating, loud, alive. Later that afternoon, Josephine sat in the apartment library, a room full of books she wasn't allowed to choose. Richard liked classics, heavy, serious, emotionless books. But tucked between two large volumes, she found something she didn't expect. A music journal. Not hers, Ethan's, the same one he used to carry everywhere when they were young. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside were notes, lyrics, scribbles. Pieces of a boy who once dreamed of becoming a composer. Pieces of a boy who loved her. She turned a page and froze. There was a sketch, a pencil drawing of her, smiling, beautiful, alive. Tears blurred her vision. He had kept her memory all these years. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. Are you safe? Her heart softened instantly. She typed slowly, yes. A moment later. Can I see you tonight? Just for a few minutes, in the lobby. Nothing risky. Her breath trembled. She typed, I don't know if it's safe. He replied, You don't have to talk. Just seeing you breathe freely is enough for me. Her eyes filled with tears. No one had spoken to her like that in years. No one had cared about her breath, her life, her peace. She whispered to herself, Why now, Ethan? Why did you come back? The apartment felt smaller, colder, and the silence felt heavier. She typed again, Okay, tonight. The moment she sent it, her heart raced with both fear and excitement. Night fell. Richard texted her, saying he would be home late. a business meeting. Relief washed over her. She stepped out of the apartment carefully. The hallway was dimly lit. Her steps echoed softly. When she reached the lobby, she saw him. Ethan. He was standing near the window, hands in his pockets, looking out into the night. He turned when he felt her presence. And for a moment, Josephine forgot how to breathe. He walked toward her slowly, as if afraid she might disappear. "You came," he whispered. "I shouldn't have," she said, voice shaking. "I know," he replied, "but I'm glad you did." They stood inches apart. His presence warmed her in ways she had forgotten. His eyes softened when they met hers. "Josephine," he whispered, "you look like someone who's been holding her breath for years." Her voice cracked. "Maybe I have." He lifted a hand slowly, giving her plenty of time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers gently brushed her cheek, wiping away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. Her heart broke and healed in the same moment. "I missed you," Ethan said, voice trembling. "More than I should have. More than I ever admitted." She closed her eyes, letting the warmth soak into her frozen soul. But then a click echoed. The entrance door opened. Someone walked in. Josephine's blood turned cold. Ethan's hand dropped instantly. She turned toward the sound. It was Richard, and he'd seen them. His eyes darkened. The silence in the apartment had just been replaced with something far more dangerous. Something that could destroy everything. If this story touched your heart, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me for more emotional journeys.